and welcome to this episode of the Skip Meetings Podcast, the podcast for curious event professionals embracing the future of business events. My name is Andrea Doyle, and I am the executive editor of Skip Meetings. In this episode, titled Elevating by Example, I have the pleasure of speaking with Timothy Glanzer, the Chief Elevation Officer of Elevated Meeting Solutions. We chat about Las Vegas and its attributes as a meetings and events destination, the importance of engagement, how wellness is a must-have. We talk about how Timothy leads by example and how it's important to be accountable. I hope you enjoy listening to this conversation, and I invite you to check out other episodes of the Skip Meetings podcast with tips and insights from today's most influential event professionals. You can find all the episodes on our website or subscribe through your favorite podcast service.
Hello, everyone. I'm Timothy Glanzer, Chief Elevation Officer for Elevated Meeting Solutions. I have let's redo the math, almost 30 some years in the industry. I started years ago. I was actually a banker, and I had an incredible opportunity to open the Mirage many, many years ago and get into the banquet side of the event business, which I absolutely loved. I did that role for about 4 years. And then I went over and opened up Treasure Island on the hotel side for 5 years. Realized I needed to get back to the event side, had a lot more fun on the event side, and went back to the Mirage, where I eventually became the executive director of conventions over there. And then that path led me over to a role at Bellagio, where I was the executive director of conventions there for 13 years. I then said, need to fulfill a dream and go to the other side. So I left after 28 years with MGM Resorts and joined Conference Direct, managing on the executive team, their conference management team. I had that role for a very short time, about a year, and then realized it was time to create my dream, my passion of owning my own business, and I created Elevated Meeting Solutions.
When was that?
That was back in 2018, and it's been an absolute incredible journey, with the exception of a couple bad years, which we all experienced. It's been wonderful.
And have you always been based in Las Vegas?
For my career, yes. I was born and raised in the Midwest. I'm a good old Midwest boy, South Dakota, Minnesota. But I've been out here for 35 plus years in the desert here. Love it here. It's an incredible city, incredible community, and on the event side, there's no better in the world. So I'm really happy here and love the great Las Vegas lifestyle.
And your company is Elevated Meeting Solutions, and your title is Chief Elevation Officer. Why that title?
I'll tell you, I'm not a title person. I used to be confused with titles when I was on the corporate side, and I didn't feel it really defined individuals. So I had a little play on words. Obviously, the branding of elevation with elevated meetings, and I thought, what better role for me would be to be a chief elevation officer and elevating the team and elevating the events and the service. So I named myself the Chief Elevation Officer.
Okay, great. And what kind of events do you organize?
So we're really all over the board. We do and produce small VIP incentive retreats, wellness events, all the way up to large and support and manage large corporate association events. So we have one account that I think is 25 individuals, and we support the largest technology show in the world, CES, which is this year, probably around 150,000 people. At its peak, it was almost 190,000. So we're kind of all in. Our average group size is a corporate event is around 2,000 to 3,000. That's kind of the profile we really enjoy. But we really produce anything and everything on the corporate association and incentive side.
And what exactly do you do for CES?
So we support two areas of CES. We support the event management side. We fortify their team of insane, talented performers. And then we also support with our great partner here in Las Vegas, Hadco Staffing Solutions, the staffing side. It's a mega show, and we provide up to 700 event professionals to logistically perform that event. And I don't know how much you know about CES, but it is a logistical challenge as it basically takes over the entire city. And there are events throughout the city at basically almost every hotel on and off the strip. The entire city caters to that event every January. And so my team supports that in collaboration with Hadco Staffing and the CTA.
So you started in the industry at Mirage. Is that where you first encountered business events?
Yes. So I did banquets. And I don't know how much you know about the Mirage, but back in those days, the Mirage was the gem. It was an incredibly gorgeous, had a ton of space for a hotel. Had the most space of any hotel back then. And I was a very young talent, just coming out of an industry that had nothing to do with hospitality, and I was in awe of it. And I tell you, some of the events that the Mirage used to perform and produce were absolutely incredible, and they still are producing these events. And we did a lot of the fights in the old days. A lot of the big boxing matches were at the Mirage, and we would set that up and produce those, which you got to see and meet so many of the celebrities and sports figures that would come in for that. So it was something that instantly I was like, wow, this is what I want to do. It was a lot of fun. I was always learning. It was a great company. And I think that that was really the seed that I took in the industry and never looked back. I always say to some of my friends and families, sometimes it takes a while to find the role that you really love and you're passionate about. Some people, I would say, would never find that. I was so fortunate at a pretty young age to find something I really loved to do, and I actually thought I could do and do well. And I've been running that mentality for years, and that's where it all started. Was in that ballroom at the Mirage back in the late 1989.
And you had come from the banking industry.
I come from the banking industry, which was not a lot of fun. Apologize to you bankers out there, but I was teaching a DCF process, a customer service process for a large banking institution, the largest banking institution at the time. And it was fun, and I was traveling a lot. I was a very young guy, but I just didn't think it just didn't fit my personality. Very extroverted, outgoing, engaging individual that just loved to be with people. So when I got on hospitality, it was built for me. It's not a chore to work with people. It's not a chore. It's a joy. It's an excitement for me. I get a great energy out of it. And here I was, working with some of these incredible clients and incredible talent by my side in my partners and the teams that I work with for an incredible company. So in an incredible destination of Las Vegas. So it was a dream come true for me to hit the hospitality industry here.
And there's many people who don't understand the meetings and events industry. So I was curious to learn, how do you explain to friends and family what you do?
Well, fortunately, most of my friends and family are in the industry. And, my immediate family obviously has grown into the industry. My wife obviously is a leader in the industry. So for the people that don't, they see my social and they think it's all fun and games. Oh, you're here today, you're here tomorrow, you're in that city. Look at this guy, he's at this event. I explained that I basically connect individuals. I connect people for incredible experiences and incredible results. And I try and create experiences that they will bring home uh, forever and memories forever. So, um, most of my inner circle is doing exactly what I'm doing. I've kind of engaged the industry and the lifestyle so much that everybody really knows. But I think that the easy way to explain is that you connect people in an engaging environment all around the world globally.
Is there an event you've organized that you are particularly proud of?
Well, there's many years of doing this. There's a few I'll highlight on the supplier side. When I was with MGM Resorts at Bellagio, I used to produce a very high-end luxury travel experience. I did that for 13 years. And talk about a jaded group of individuals. It was basically 50% of the group, and it was a very large group. 50% of the group was luxury suppliers that sold luxury experiences. Think Four Seasons, Ritz, Fairmont, Mandarin, some of the great brands out there that are on the luxury side. And the other 50% were luxury advisors that sold the luxury experience. And we had to wow and re-wow them every year. And it was an extremely challenging event. And it was such a rewarding event because I'm one of them. And I really look at myself as a luxury, a VIP, high touch, elevated performer in that environment. And I made so many new friends and contacts. And that event was just absolutely fantastic. It's still going on. It's still absolutely fantastic event. On the third party side, on the other side, my team produced an event over F1 here in Las Vegas. F1 came to Vegas for the first time last year, which was a logistical challenge. It's the first time the event had done, and the whole city kind of rallied around this event. But we produced this event for about 650 entrepreneurs, VIP, high level executive type profile, and it was a logistical uh, my favorite word, nuttiness. We had over 20 offsite events that we had to move around the city in the midst of all the traffic and the road closures and move these individuals from various venue to venue, all of these very unique experiences. And the client was extremely creative and really put together an incredible program. And we had the support of the local, our preferred alliances here in Las Vegas. And it really was smashing success. The team crushed it. Never been more tired, my friend, after that event. It was 20-hour days. I'm not exaggerating. It was 5 just brutal days, but it was such a great, fun, exciting experience. The adrenaline just carried on. I think we slept for 3 days after that, but that was definitely one of the highlights of memory in the last year.
I mean, F1, Super Bowl, Vegas is amazing these days.
We're on fire. I mean, I think we always have, but with sports, the broadening of the sports environment here, with the Golden Knights winning the Cup last year, then you throw in the F1, which was an all city, all hands on deck situation environment. Every hotel involved, the entire community supporting it, and then 2 months later, we throw the biggest dance in sports in the Super Bowl. And I'll tell you, F1 went absolutely flawless for a first time event, and we nailed the Super Bowl. The Allegiant Stadium team, the city, uh, it was, I attended both events, obviously, and the Super Bowl was so well controlled and safe and convenient and efficient. I was just shocked how we could produce such an amazing large event like that with such little to no issues. It was really, I know the NFL came out of the gate and was really excited about it. The city was as well. And hopefully the guests that attended as well. So Vegas is on fire. It is really, um, it's become something beyond gaming. It is a opportunity. Obviously, it's an event capital of the world, but due to the culinary experiences, due to all of the various things that you can do and the activities that you can do, there's so many new attractions, even off strip, that are that are highlighted and very exciting. It's a wonderful time to be in Las Vegas for sure.
If you were to plan an event for 100 Timothys, what would that event look like?
That would be one hell of a fun event, I would tell you. I'm a jaded guy. I got to say, I'm not critical of events when I attend, but I have huge expectations, and the industry has driven that. It's not because I'm personally any better than anyone else. It's just that so many different opportunities. So it's got to be engaging. It's got to have intentional experiences. It has to include wellness, which we'll talk about later on in this conversation, I'm sure. But I need to be able to feel that I have my own personal time within the event. Um, I get frustrated when events are, 7 in the morning till midnight, and I can't even get back to my room to change. So I like to have a little bit of time in between. I like the collaboration. I like you say 100 people. I think that's fantastic. Very intimate. I would get to know all 99 of those individuals that I'm attending. And I think that's also very important is that the event lays the groundwork and the base to get to meet and network and come away with new friendships, relationships, partnerships, whether they be business or personal. Highlighting, the best ROI from my experiences at the event is when I leave and I have all this a bigger black book, so to speak. My Rolodex is fuller of great contacts, and not always just business, but people that I can learn from and new friendships that I can collaborate from. So it would have to be extremely engaging, hopefully in a warm environment. Living here in Las Vegas, the expectation of that. Not always, though. I'll tell you, there's some great cold weather venues out there, and something that really, I go back to that word intentional. It really is mapped out and created for my expectations, which isn't easy to do, especially in this day and age with so many different expectations out there. Great question, by the way.
Thanks. You've used the word engaging a few times. How do you make an event engaging for all?
I think you start off by, and you don't want to get too caught up into this, but you really focus on the group and the expectations and the profile. You learn the profile. What drives the guests and the attendees' daily routines? What are they interested in? And that, obviously is in most cases vast, right? Because um, a lot of the events that we do are the higher level. And when I say that, meaning the business executives that are attending. And so there's more of a challenge of that. I think that you need to understand. I always used to say to my teams, and I say it today, you can't exceed expectations if you don't even know what they are. So the first thing is understanding the expectations of the attendee that's coming, and then putting together with a group of diverse strategic thinkers what that event looks like. Because an event's going to look very different if I'm producing it than if we have a room full of individuals that attend various events and have different diversity minded ways of thinking. So I think that it's a community of collaboration and various thinkers, understanding that a getting them, communicating and getting them to the destination and the venue is wildly important. The event never starts when the door opens in at the venue. The event starts when you acknowledge the event, in my opinion. So that type of engagement and the communication pre-event is vital. And that engagement starts before you ever step foot on the venue and in the destination, in my opinion. And you create that engagement early on. So when people come, they already have a sense of who's going to be there and the various things that they can do, and they have it mapped out in their mind. Of course, it always changes when you get on site. And then when you get on site, you're creating a lifestyle within that event environment that is intimate. Even large shows can do this. That's intimate and that has touch points throughout the event. And I think that one way that you can engage is shorter bursts of information, intimate settings, and there's ways. I believe that there's ways and responsibility actually to focus on the engagement piece because that's the reward. When people leave and they feel like they really engaged the event. I mean, how many events have you been to where you didn't feel like you were really part of the event? That's not fun. You're flying home going, what did I do? I just wasted 3 days of my very valuable life. And so I think that when you focus on that piece, all the other things are super important. But when you focus on the engagement piece and it's a priority, that's a huge reward for the attendees, and you'll find that reward in your surveys and return attendees for your repeat event.
Do you have any tips or any examples of how you've created engagement in events you've planned recently?
I think use of apps, networking apps, are incredible, and there's so many of them. I just came from an event where the app really did a great job of connecting us. I think that when you go to an event, when there's specifically industry events that we do and go to, and you have appointments, I think that it's wildly important to have enough time to engage with somebody that you can get through the introductions and really start to learn what the individual does and what the services are that they provide. And I think that you can't do that in 4 minutes. It's impossible. You need more time. Also, the setting. What do what's the room look like? When the budget can support it, I think you use the setting where it's more comfortable. And I think that seating is super important, and the way that you're setting the room, that you're facing each other, and that you can communicate and have a conversation. Conversational settings are the best because you let down your guards and you kind of just become more human per se, and I think that that's important. And also, I think that another key piece of this is the timing of it. You know, there's an old joke in our industry that really the best time to network and communicate is with a drink in your hand at night, right? At the receptions and the evening dinners, when you're really forced to be with someone, you're sitting at around, you're going to network with those individuals because you're there for an hour at least, having a meal. That's true to a point, but I think that you can also implement those engagements pieces in the type of events that you're doing. Going back to the wellness, you create a wellness environment and wellness activations, you're going to engage and you're going to bond with those individuals. And I think that wellness brings us together. It's something that every human being has a need for. And I think that it's something that really, when done well, and you talk about specific examples, things that are healing, meditation, activations, self-care activations, a great hike with a group of individuals in a unique area. Even the basic things like yoga, stretching, and some of the more routine things that a lot of groups do now. You're going to engage, and you're going to. It's a natural, organic type of engagement rather than the forced things that I said earlier.
Taking a look at the meetings and events industry as a whole, what future trends are you most excited about?
I think I would jump on the bandwagon of what everybody's excited about right now, and that's technology, AI, in particular. It's evolving. It is coming at us. It's in front of us, and it's moving quickly. So definitely technology. I would also say sustainability. I think that it's time we all get real serious about this. We were starting that momentum, and then COVID hit. I mean, right before COVID, sustainability was really playing a major role. COVID threw us off the rails, confused us a bit, and now we're getting back into sustainability. And it shouldn't just be a trend. It should really be a mainstay ingredient of every single event. And we need to get serious about it. And I think the community and the industry in general is, but really defining that in more detail. So sustainability for sure. I don't know what's more important than saving and creating a more safe environment in the planet. And then my favorite topic I keep going back to is wellness. It's a trend that took off. It was another thing that was garnering through COVID. And then COVID actually is one of the positive outcomes of COVID is wellness. I think we really start to realize we've got to take this serious here in our personal lives. We really need to understand self-care. Look at, how many people got sick. Unfortunately, how many people we lost. And wellness, it kind of jerked and pulled people into a better lifestyle, a focus on, do we need to work 80 hours a week? Do we need to have these full schedules? Do we need to really be running this fast? Can we implement personal wellness and professional wellness into our lifestyle? So I think wellness is a trend. It's my favorite topic to talk about on the event side. I think it shouldn't be a side conversation in a room off the side like a breakout. I think it should be the base of every single event. It should have as much time and effort and focus as any other part of the event. Is how are we creating a wellness platform? I'm very proud of the Elevated Meeting Solutions platform we call Elevated Wellness, and how we can support wellness into every event that we produce. I think that so many companies are looking at this seriously for the first time, and it is really something that when you say trends, I'm hoping that all three of the things that we just mentioned are not only trends but become a normal daily routine of every event that we produce moving forward. They're all so super important.
Have you participated or planned any events lately that really impressed you? And what impressed you about them?
Well, I just participated in a absolute fantastic industry event. Um, the new North Star event in Singapore at the Marina Bay Sands, the meeting show, absolute major success. I mean, you have a great product with North Star Meetings Group, and then you have one of the greatest uh, venues on the planet in Marina Bay Sands. I don't know if you've been there. It is a spectacular venue. And then in an incredible destination, Singapore, which is exploding through Asia. That destination is fantastic for events, and I'm just really high on Singapore right now and the Marina Bay Sands product. So they really did a great job. It's an intimate show. The content, it's so funny the question that you asked, but the content went deep into AI and technology, not just AI, but technology in general. The content went deep into sustainability with multiple on the main stage, not a side stage. So you had technology on the main stage, you had sustainability on the main stage, and you had wellness on the main stage talking about it, and wellness professionals and executives talking about it. So the content wasn't just general PowerPoint slides. They really did a great job of implementing it in takeaways that you could immediately pull out and implement into your personal and professional life. So that was a great event. The show floor was fantastic, and it really was an intimate, longer appointment meetings. It was an industry event where we met our partners, and it was very well prepared. Absolutely fantastic experience, especially for a first time event. So that just happened. So it's fresh on my mind, and I wanted to highlight that was a great event experience.
How do you see events changing in the next 5 years?
Changing. I hope that the things that we just talked about will become common. Um, I think that the generation that's coming up is going to mandate certain aspects of technology be implemented. I think that I hope that events are going to be and the meetings and the events are going to be shorter and have more concentrated blast of information. I think that's how we think as a generation, especially since we're attached to all of the personal technology that we have with our phones and our computers and laptops and everything else. I think that shorter meetings, I'm hoping, obviously, technology, wellness, sustainability all become evolve in the next 5 years. And I think that we continue to focus on what's important for the guest experience. Going back to that word I used earlier, the intention of that, um, and trying to um, create events that showcase a meaning that an individual can relate to. Um, and that's very difficult to do. But I think in the next 5 years with technology, we'll do a much better job of that. I think that the engagement piece is going to explode. I can't wait to see what we can do and how we can use some of these technology tools for engagement in the next 5 years. I'm super excited about it. I think we have, such a great group of young talent coming up. In 5 years, they'll be at a whole nother level. It's a very dynamic group that's coming behind us and really teaching us and pulling us into certain areas. And I think the industry's healthy. I think we'll continue to grow. I think the global expansion and connectivity will grow. It will be nothing to go to various parts of the world that maybe we didn't go to in the past. I think, and I'm hopeful that travel will support that. That's always a focus. But I think that in 5 years we're going to be in an even better place, further down from what we just went through with the pandemic. It'll be a distant memory, and I really think we have a very healthy future ahead of us in the event industry.
So you talk about the next generation, and there's some areas of the industry where workforce is a challenge, and getting the right team members. Do you find that's the case? And how do you build and nurture your team?
Well, COVID devastated us, right? I mean, it's we lost so much talent, and they left the industry or they changed within the industry. My Rolodex, I could just throw out the Rolodex after COVID. There's every time I made a call, it was a different individual. And I think a lot of the individuals that got into the industry, it also created opportunity. So my process of building the team, and it's the same process I've used forever. My interviews are marathons. I really want to understand what's in front of me. And in an hour or so, and my interviews are never an hour, by the way, much longer. I'm really learning and trying to ask the next question. I think the interview process is vital to who you're bringing onto your team. You're seeing the best of them in most cases. And I think that you really got to drive just a little bit further into the conversation. And I think when you do, you really start to see more of the real performer that you're about to bring on to your team. And then once you bring them onto their team, they're part of your team. I really believe in the mentoring, the teaching, and investing. I have a small company. I have 14 performers on the team, and I try to really prioritize my time to spend with them and teach and to mentor. And obviously, every time you're teaching and mentoring, you're learning, and you become a better leader. Hopefully, if you're listening to the team. So I think that that piece of it is super important. And I also think that the the listening part of the leadership role enhances the team and makes them trust you, show a little vulnerability. You're not always right. And I think that showing that to the team lets them understand and actually brings value to them. I have a saying in my leadership that when I bring someone on, I implement the 3 V's. And that is when you come on to my team, you're going to bring your voice, your vision, and therefore your value. And I really believe that when you bring a new member onto the team, when you're building your team, you have to be focused on those individuals. Those individuals are going to be carrying your brand through. Those individuals are going to be performing the services and the high touch, hopefully, solutions that build your brand and your company. And in my opinion, there's no greater asset. It sounds corny, and everybody says it, but it's really true. There's no greater asset than your team, and you really got to put in the effort. And it takes time, and you got to prioritize your time around them.
When did that become your mantra, the 3 V's?
It's funny, when I was in the hotel side, I was trying to motivate. I had inherited a team that probably wasn't at the level I needed them to be, and I needed to really look at how I could get them to see what my expectations were. And so I met with each one of them individually and said, here's where I'm at. Here's the thing. So I felt like they didn't feel appreciated and they didn't understand what their role was. And I wanted them to know that they were stakeholders in this department and stakeholders in my operation, and they were important. So I wanted to know that they had a voice, and I wanted to know that they could come into my office and that we could go to lunch and that we could discuss and collaborate together. The title thing, obviously for the community and the industry, there's titles to acknowledge what level we're at. But I didn't ever really believe, the word I never use anywhere is the word boss. I've never in my entire career said I'm a boss, I'm the boss. This isn't a mob. We're leaders. And I hate the word boss. And so they were used to bosses probably in their past. And I said, I'm not that guy. I'm going to be a leader with you and manage with you. And you will have a voice and you will have a vision. And I need to see that. And therefore, you'll have a value. And I tell you, it really turned the team around. And I used that success from that day on in my hotel career. It's been very, very successful. People have to feel valued. They have to feel like what they say and how they perform matter. And I think that that's important that you allow them. I stay off the field. Let's let the team handle the heavy lifting, and I allow them to perform. And I think that's another great aspect of great leadership is not micromanaging. Now, things get nutty and take a turn for the worse, I'm right in there and I'm rolling up my sleeves. But for the most part, I let the team perform. And in most cases, in almost all cases, they do, and they do it very well.
So leading by example is important.
Leading by example, walk the talk, right? I think they look at you. And if, I'm fortunate that I have held these roles and I have great experience, working in an incredible hotel, an incredible city, an incredible company. I have a vast experience with working with incredibly talented partners in the hotel and teammates in the hotel, but also incredible clients that taught me a lot. I'm a very fortunate career. I can then regurgitate that to the team and they see that. So when I'm talking, I've done it. I'm not telling them how to do something that I haven't done 1,000 times. And also sharing the cause and effect of when I did it the wrong way. And, I did it this way. And that's not the way to do it. I think that I've learned more from people that have done things wrong and created a better leadership style, learning from people that have done things wrong than I probably have from people that have done things right and the mistakes that people made. And so I like to share the mistakes that I make and actually highlight what could I have done. And I share old experiences all the time. So walking the talk, it's funny you bring that up. It's so important. And it's something that's consistent. Even when you get into leadership and you haven't performed the role that you did for 10, 15 years, you still need to remember what that was when you did walk that role and when you did perform that role, in my opinion.
If you could change one thing about the events industry, what would that be?
I don't know if I change. I think I continue, another positive. I think I would change the thing that I would change in the world, and that is how can we support each other better and collaborate better and eliminate the divide. I think the industry uh, is really coming out of COVID was really healthy, and we collaborate and we support it. I've never seen anything like it. Hotels collaborating together here in Las Vegas. We had intense competitors sitting at the round table weekly, weekly, learning how they together as the destination could create an environment to bring business. It had never been done before. And so it was a real highlight and a great example as what we should do. And I think as third parties and competitors, we can support each other. I'm consistently acknowledging and um, providing a standing ovation for all of the wonderful performers out there. So collaboration is important. Supportive is important, and one voice is. So it's not necessarily changing, but I'm seeing some of the old patterns coming back as we start to forget about the COVID days, and getting more settled in our isolation. And I think that's something I don't want to happen. So if I could change one thing, that'd be something I'd love to maintain moving forward as we can become so divided as an industry, and that's not healthy for anything, and definitely not healthy for the future.
What are the key qualities or skills that have enabled you to be successful?
I think it goes back to some of the things that I highlighted earlier. I listen. I learn and listen. I'm very curious. I'm very. I love to learn other people's ways. I love to learn other people's cultures, which is why I love to travel. I think that has fulfilled me and also made me a better leader. I like to learn from other people's mistakes, as I noted earlier. Um, I think that I have a very sensitive approach to human beings. This industry is really an industry of human relations, right? I mean, I tell people I'm interviewing, you're getting into the human relations industry. So if you think you're getting anything else, that's what it is. It's how are we dealing with human beings? And so I like learning how human beings react. I will never be the smartest person in the in the room. I say that not jokingly, but what I will be is an individual that understands human beings and how we tick and how we operate, and the things that everyone, no matter who you are, really make you successful. And I've studied that vigorously for years. And I think I have an incredible ability to build relationships and partnerships naturally, because I really love human beings. I get an energy. That's an incredible asset for me personally. I'm organized and logistically, I love putting the puzzles together. But my asset is in not only leadership, but in partnerships in the industry, is I connect. I have an ability to connect. And I think most of us do in this industry, right? I mean, that's really one of the main ingredients of this industry. And also, I'm a servant leader. I'm not a boss, and I never will be. And I think that's something you have to stay humble in your approach. Don't confuse the fact that I can be pretty direct and I can be aggressive. And on show dates, I'm focused. There's no doubt about it. I'm not hoeing and humming onto the show floor. The team says, "Here comes the lion." So, but I do that, I think, still with my feet in the sand of humanity, and an understanding of how to get the best out of the team. I think I have ability to get the best out of the team, even when they don't believe it. I believe it. So I think that's a great quality that I've learned, and that comes from great parents and in great environment growing up that nurtured me, taught me, the true meaning of being a good human being. I owe that all to my family and my upbringing.
What people or organizations have you learned from or partnered with that have been key in your career?
Organizations, MGM Resorts, um, just an incredible journey and experience with MGM Resorts. I could spend an hour talking about them. I'm already highlighted them, probably too much. There's my industry friends say, "You still working at MGM Resorts?" But they did such an incredible job with me and gave me so much opportunity and so much support. I had so many great leaders, and I had a few that weren't great leaders. And I actually, like I said earlier, learned from them. So organizations definitely, MGM Resorts on the supplier side. Individuals, I worked for Conference Direct. I learned a lot from Brian Stevens, the founder of Conference Direct. I think he taught me another side of leadership that I did not know. He well-rounded me in my very short time with him, and I have great respect for his abilities and as a leader. And then, when you talk about some of the people, I've had so much connection to so many great leaders. I'll highlight an individual that I think has done a great job, and that is Lori Lutz um, with CTA. She's since left CTA and moved on to a new role. But I used to just be absolute in awe on how she could run this large show with so many operations. Of course, she had an incredible team behind her, but the calm that she did it in, and the mannerisms that how she performed, and how she really manifested the direction and focus and communication with her team, and that show is wildly successful. It's a gigantic show. I mean, like I said, 2020 is, I believe, 190,000, almost 190,000 people running all over the city. And so Lori's a dear friend, a great colleague, and I definitely learned a lot from her as far as some of the leadership skills. The list could go on and on. I have so many, so many wonderful mentors in my life. I have both a personal and professional advisory board. Sounds kind of funny, but that I go to. They are in all walks of life. One thing they have in common, they're very successful, and were survivors, and they had a lot of diversity in their life, adversity in their life, and they really showcased how to survive through it. So I reach out to my professional advisory board all the time on any type of decisions regarding Elevated. And in my personal life, I also have an advisory board of counsels and advisors that really support me. And it doesn't hurt to have a great therapist either, right? I think that's also something when you look at wellness that helps you get through some of the craziness of this industry and the schedule that we all hold.
Is there anything that keeps you up at night?
I sleep very well, my friend. Um, I really do. You know what keeps me up at night? I have pre-show excitement. Like when you were a kid and the day before you start a new school or your class, or the day before you're going to get on an airplane to fly to a new city and you're excited about a vacation coming up. That's me the night before a show. I still get it. And I'm not doing half the heavy lifting that I used to do when I was in the trenches. But I really love the excitement. I think when you worded the question, keeps me up at night as far as concerns, it's just how the industry is going to evolve and maintain. How is the industry going to continue the path? I wouldn't say it keeps me up at night, but I'm definitely concerned and want to realize that and see that. It's exciting, but it also has a little bit of anxiety blended in with it.
Is stress a challenge for you?
It really isn't. I think when you get, and I'm not throwing this out there as if I'm better than anyone. But I think after many, many years of seeing so much and handling so much and really understanding the differences of stress, when you talk about the professional stress, I think I manage it very well. Um, I have some pretty good tools in the belt in managing stress and understanding uh, the cause and effect of it. I really actually enjoy stress. I think I perform better under stress. I think most of us in the event business use or can use stress to bring the best performance, right? Much like an athlete or an artist, you can use that to really take you to the next level. I know that I do, and I think most of us do. Now, when you're talking about personal stress, I think that's a little different because family illnesses or things that go wrong in the family, that's a little different thing. That's true stress, and that's not necessarily a challenge, but that's definitely more difficult to handle than the professional stress.
What are some of the tools you have in your tool belt that you mentioned?
So I outline what it is that I'm stressed about. I mean, how many times have we sat and looked and gotten anxiety and stressed over something that we have no control over? I mean, it's such a normal response that I think so many people would say, but you have no control over it. Um, and here you are um, going down this path that's going to lead to nowhere. So stopping the path to nowhere I think also being the best you, and when I say that, being healthy in your mental wellness, being healthy in your physical wellness and your spiritual wellness, having the best you. You know, you can go into the best wars, the biggest wars when you're super healthy in all those areas. You know, working out and staying healthy, getting endorphins moving, getting really attached to your self care, communicating, and communicating where you're at to the people in your circle, both professionally and personally. I think is important. I think a lot of times we bottle it up and we're trying to figure it out. You know, I'm a very independent thinker, and many times I get in trouble because I'm not communicating out in certain things personally. That if I just would, it would have it helped. And going back to using the advisors, right? You have to have an advisory team, call them whatever you want, mentors, whatever. That's an amazing tool belt, right? You have these people that have been there, they've done that. They have the results that they can provide for you. Why not call them? Why not connect with them and say, "This is where I'm at. What do you suggest?" There's no vulnerability to that. There's no weakness in that. In fact, that's a strength. And I look at it as when I get those calls all the time from my circle of friends and family and colleagues, and I feel it's an honor to be a tool in someone else's tool belt. So I'm going to use that for myself, and I do it on a regular basis. And it's helped me to deal with stress, and it's helped me to be a better performer. It's helped me to be a better friend and family member because of that.
We always end our podcasts by asking who should be our next guest and what should we ask that person?
Oh, wow. Well, I'll look at it in the sense of who I think would be a fun interview. Do you know a gal named Ashley Lawson? She's with Achieve Incentives. This gal, I befriended her at a site event years ago. This is a gal that during COVID packed up her life and went on the road. And she spent, I think, 30 days, and she only would spend a month in every country. And she literally went around the globe. And she highlighted on social media, and I became very intrigued and engaged. She'd be a heck of an interview. She's an incredible performer in our industry. She's a leader in the industry. So much fun, so exciting. She's a breath of fresh air. She's become a very dear friend. I reach out to her all the time. She's definitely someone that could be on my advisory board because she just has such a wealth of a great uh, knowledge. And I would ask her, how did you do that? How did you literally travel the world in the middle of COVID, and some of the experiences that she have. Another individual I think is awesome, if I may add to that, is also a guy that I think is the the temperature of our industry, and that is Jeff Freeman with U.S. Travel, the CEO of U.S. Travel. Fantastic individual, extremely knowledgeable. Um, right there in DC as U.S. Travel, the leaders. They have the pulse of the industry. They're great educators. They're really consulting to the rest of us. And Jeff's a great guy. He's just an amazing. He gets it. Talk about a guy that has a passion for the industry. This guy gets it. So either one of those, if you haven't had him on the show before, it'd be absolutely fantastic. And with Jeff, you just ask him what's your take on U.S. travel and where it's going? And he has a lot of opinions, and it'll be a wonderful interview. Both those are a home run, my friend.
Well, this was so great. I really appreciate your time and your insights.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I really appreciate it, and hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
All right, take care.